Where you coming from this late?
Just heading home.
You live around here?
Yes, sir.
People like you always out riding around this time of night.
I'm just going home, officer.
Step out of the car.
Why am I being asked to step out?
You're not hiding anything. Step out of the vehicle.
I'm not hiding anything.
We'll see about that.
The body cam activates before the door is fully open. Rain. Not a downpour, the kind that lingers after a storm has passed, the kind that leaves everything slick and reflective and cold. Virginia streetlights cut orange halos into the wet pavement. A residential block. No foot traffic, no movement in windows. A neighborhood that has gone to sleep. And then, a patrol cruiser idles at the curb. The officer who steps out is young, not in years alone, in posture. His shoulders carry the particular tension of someone who has not yet learned the difference between confidence and performance. His hand goes to his flashlight before his boots hit the ground. He doesn't look around to assess. He has already decided what he's looking at. 30 feet ahead, a black sedan, parked legally. Engine running, driver's window already cracked. Both hands resting at the top of the steering wheel. Visible, deliberate, still. The man behind the glass knew, even before the cruiser slowed, that this was coming. He has been here before. Not this street, but this moment. The officer approaches with the posture of a felony stop. Flashlight already raised, beam already aimed. He covers the distance between the two vehicles with the rigid, over-deliberate stride of someone who has been told to project authority, but hasn't yet earned it. He reaches the window, does not introduce himself, does not explain the stop. He just taps the glass. Twice. Hard enough to be a statement. The window comes down the rest of the way. The man inside does not lean toward the officer. He does not shrink back. He looks forward, then turns just enough to make eye contact. Steady. "Evening, officer." No response to the greeting. The flashlight beam shifts immediately, not to the driver's face for identification, but to the back seat. Scanning, searching the interior before a single question has been asked or answered. License and registration, not a request. The driver's hands move slowly toward the glove box, but before they reach it, "Where are you coming from this late?" The driver's hands return to the wheel. He knows the rhythm of this. "Coming from the precinct, actually. Long shift." The officer tilts his head. The answer is too clean, too specific. It doesn't fit the narrative already forming behind his eyes. The precinct. That's right. The beam shifts again. Center console, cup holder, dashboard. No contraband, no weapons, no open containers, nothing. And still the officer moves, stepping back from the window, circling the rear of the vehicle, running the plate on his shoulder mic, with the energy of someone confirming a suspicion rather than clearing one. Static. Confirmation tone. Registered. Clean. Addressed 2 blocks from here. The officer returns to the window. Flashlight back in the driver's eyes. Step out of the vehicle. The driver goes still. Not with fear, with the specific, practiced stillness of a man calculating risk in real time. "Was there a violation, officer?" "I said step out." "I understand. I just want to be clear on the reason." The officer leans slightly toward the window. His voice drops, but the body cam catches every syllable. "Honest question. What are you doing parked on a residential street at 2 in the morning?" The implication does not need to be finished. It hangs between them like the rain, heavy, familiar. The driver has heard the unspoken sentence 100 times in 100 different forms. A man like you, in a neighborhood like this, at a time like this. He does not react to the implication. He does not raise his voice. He does not reach. He opens the door slowly, both hands in the officer's eye line the entire time, and steps out onto the wet pavement. Night air. Orange streetlight. The body cam now capturing both men in the same frame. He stands with his hands at his sides, open, unhurried. A man with nothing to hide, demonstrating it with every inch of his body. He's been trained to do exactly this, not because he learned it in a self-defense class, but because the world taught him the cost of not doing it. The officer circles him, pats him down, finds nothing, returns to the car, searches the interior again. Methodical now, slower, as if he'll find something he missed the first time if he just looks harder. He won't, but he keeps looking. 30 seconds pass. A minute. The rain continues. The officer steps back from the vehicle. He's run out of moves, but he hasn't run out of conviction. He looks at the driver, tries a different approach. You fit the description. The driver looks at him evenly. What description? The officer pauses, looks away briefly, then back. His jaw tightens. Suspicious activity. This area. What was the suspicious activity? A person, matching your general description. The driver nods, just once. General description. Correct. And what, the driver says, with the calm of someone who already knows the answer, was the description? The officer doesn't answer directly. He straightens, adjusts the angle of his flashlight, reaches for control. Just cooperate and this is going to go smoothly. The driver has not raised his voice once. He has not made a single aggressive movement. He has answered every question. He has stepped out of the vehicle voluntarily. He has stood in the rain without complaint. He has been cooperative from the moment the cruiser appeared in his mirror. And that cooperation is the only thing the officer has left to use against him. But what Officer Wex Chandler does not yet understand, what no one on this quiet Virginia street yet knows, is that the man standing calmly in the rain with his hands at his sides does not need the night to go smoothly. He just needs it to be recorded. And it already is. His name is on the duty roster. 8 months in. Still in his probationary window. Still learning what kind of cop he's going to be. Officer Wex Chandler doesn't know the answer to that yet. But tonight, alone on a rain-quiet Virginia street at 2 a.m., he thinks he does. He spots the sedan from 40 feet out. Black. Engine idling. Parked legally, no infraction visible, no erratic movement. None of that registers as clearance. It registers as invitation. His hand finds the flashlight before his feet change direction. His jaw sets. His stride lengthens. 8 months on the force and he walks toward that car like he already knows what's inside it. He doesn't. Inside the sedan, Captain O'Connor Med catches the approaching beam in his side mirror. Just a flicker, orange light sweeping across wet asphalt, growing brighter, moving with purpose. His jaw tightens, not with fear, with recognition. The seatbelt is still across his chest. His hands haven't moved from his lap. He was sitting in silence before the cruiser appeared, and he sits in silence now. Same posture, same stillness. Only his eyes have changed, tracking the approach with the quiet, calibrated attention of a man who has learned that the first 10 seconds set the entire tone. Chandler reaches the window. No introduction. No explanation for the stop. He raises the flashlight and taps the glass twice with his knuckle, not with urgency, but with weight. The kind of knock that isn't asking permission. O'Connor Med rolls the window down slowly, all the way, both hands visible as the glass descends. The beam hits him full in the face. Chandler doesn't lower it. "Evening," O'Connor Med says, level, patient. The word lands like a door held open, an offer of civility, extended freely, no conditions attached. Chandler doesn't take it. His eyes are already moving past the driver, scanning the back seat, the passenger floor, the dashboard. He has already decided something. He decided it before he left his cruiser, before the window came down, before the first word was spoken. The body cam records all of it. The beam hasn't moved. Still in O'Connor Med's eyes, still waiting for a reaction that isn't coming. Then Chandler speaks. "Step out the car. You fit the description." O'Connor Med goes still. Not the stillness of surprise. The stillness of a man who has just heard a sentence he has been half expecting since the flashlight appeared in his mirror. He blinks once. Takes in Chandler fully. The grip on the flashlight, white-knuckled and unnecessary. The forward lean, the tightness around the jaw that isn't authority, but is doing its best impression of it. "What description?" Chandler shifts his weight. The flashlight drops an inch, then comes back up. He gestures, vague, directional, towards somewhere down the block. B&E call. 3 blocks over. General description of a suspect. He says it the way people recite something they haven't fully memorized. O'Connor Med listens to all of it. He knows what a real probable cause sounds like. He's written enough of them. This isn't one. General description is a phrase that can mean anyone, and both men on this street know it, though only one of them will acknowledge it. He also knows what refusal costs. He reaches for the door handle slowly, telegraphing every movement. The door swings open. He steps out onto the wet pavement, one foot, then the other, and straightens to his full height in the rain. Hands open, hanging at his sides. Not raised, because raised hands invite a different kind of attention. Just visible, present, deliberate. He does not reach for his pocket, does not gesture toward the car, does not give Chandler a single frame of footage that could be reframed later. He has been in this department long enough to know exactly how these nights get reconstructed in reports. Chandler steps closer, drops his voice like that makes it less ugly. Kind of late to be sitting in a car. What exactly brings you out at 2 in the morning? The implication doesn't need finishing. O'Connor Med has heard the unspoken version of that sentence more times than he can count. He absorbs it, steady, jaw set, eyes forward, and says nothing at all. Chandler moves to the vehicle. He starts at the driver's side window, flashlight angled through the glass, beam sweeping across the front seat, then the rear, then the passenger floor. He moves with the energy of someone executing a search they've already justified internally, working backward from a conclusion he reached before the window came down. The flashlight isn't looking for something specific. It's looking for anything at all, something to make the stop make sense. The back seat is empty, a jacket folded neatly across the rear bench, nothing underneath it. He circles to the passenger side, crouches slightly, shines the beam along the floor mat, under the seat, into the gap between the console and the door panel. His movements are deliberate, but his breathing is shallow. He is working harder than the evidence warrants. Still nothing. He straightens, moves to the rear of the vehicle, flashlight along the trunk seam, around the tail lights, underneath the chassis. Clean. He returns to the driver's side and leans through the open door, closer now, unhurried, like proximity will produce what distance didn't. The beam settles on the dashboard, the glove box, the center console, then the cup holder, a coffee mug, ceramic, dark blue, the kind that gets handed out at department fundraisers and lives in precinct break rooms, the kind that has a small departmental crest printed near the handle. Chandler looks at it for a moment that stretches just slightly too long. Then he moves on. He doesn't ask about it, doesn't process what it might mean, the off-duty clothes, the parked car 2 blocks from the precinct, the mug that belongs to no civilian's kitchen. The pieces are all present. He just isn't assembling them. Behind him, O'Connor Med stands in the rain. He hasn't shifted his weight, hasn't checked his watch, hasn't said a word. He looks straight ahead at the middle distance with the patience of a man who knows exactly how this ends, and knows that right now, time is the only thing working in his favor. Chandler has nothing. He just doesn't know how to stop. Chandler steps back from the vehicle and keys his shoulder mic. He reads the plate out flat. 7 characters, clipped and professional, the one part of this stop that has followed procedure. Static crackles. Dispatch acknowledges. He waits, flashlight still in his hand, weight shifting slightly from one foot to the other in the rain. The response comes back clean. Registered. No flags. No warrants. Valid. The vehicle belongs to an O'Connor Med, residential address 2 blocks north. There is a pause on the line. Brief. The kind a dispatcher produces when they've just read something on their screen and are deciding how to proceed. Then the confirmation comes, measured and careful, and the channel closes. Chandler doesn't notice the pause. He's already moving. ID, he says, not a question. O'Connor Med reaches slowly into his jacket, deliberate, both movements announced, and produces his wallet. He opens it, removes a card, holds it out. Not a driver's license, a departmental ID. Department issued, laminated, with rank printed clearly beneath the name. Chandler takes it, holds it under the flashlight beam, squints at it the way someone squints at a document they're skimming rather than reading, absorbing the surface, missing the substance. The name, the format, the insignia in the upper corner that means something specific to anyone who has spent more than 8 months in this department. He slides it into his breast pocket. Then he moves behind O'Connor Med and begins the pat-down. It is methodical, it is thorough, and it is entirely unnecessary, given that the search of the vehicle produced nothing, the plate came back clean, and the only evidence of wrongdoing on this street is the growing record of what Chandler himself is doing. He works his way down, shoulders, torso, waistband, legs, and finds exactly what the rest of this stop has found. Nothing. O'Connor Med stares straight ahead throughout all of it. Eyes forward, expression unchanged. He is not absent, he is acutely, precisely present. Cataloguing. Every word Chandler has spoken, every decision he has made, every moment the body cam has captured. Chandler straightens, runs out of procedure to hide behind. He still doesn't walk away. The headlights appear at the far end of the block first. 2 sets, unhurried, rolling in from opposite directions with the quiet coordination of officers who've worked the same precinct long enough to move like a unit without being asked. Both vehicles ease to a stop. The engines cut. The doors open. Officers Delaney and Marsh step out into the rain and take in the scene in the same moment, with the same trained sweep of the eyes that comes from years on the job rather than months. What they see registers immediately, not as a threat, but as a question. A man in a grey hoodie and denim jacket, standing on wet pavement, hands at his sides, open. Body language that communicates compliance so completely it reads almost like a posture of patience. And a rookie officer circling him with a flashlight, and the tight, overcorrected energy of someone who is committed to a position and can't find the exit. Delaney looks at Marsh. Just for a second. The look doesn't need words. Something is wrong here. They approach steadily, neither rushing nor hanging back. Chandler spots them and steps forward slightly, eager, relieved in a way he doesn't quite manage to conceal. He gives them the rundown fast. Subject fit the description. Possible connection to a B&E call 3 blocks over. Vehicle searched, subject patted down, currently being detained pending further verification. Standard language, procedurally shaped. The kind of summary that sounds reasonable until you notice what it doesn't include. Any actual evidence, any concrete match, any moment where the facts pointed anywhere other than away from this man. His energy is off. He's talking slightly too quickly. There's a sheen at his temple that has nothing to do with the rain. Marsh lets the briefing finish, then turns and looks at O'Connor Med directly. O'Connor Med meets his gaze, holds it, doesn't nod, doesn't speak, doesn't look away. Just returns the eye contact with the steady, unhurried certainty of a man who has nothing to explain and knows it. Something moves across Marsh's face. Quiet, careful. Not quite recognition, but the edge of it, arriving slowly, like a name you know. Delaney holds out her hand. The ID you collected? Let me see it. Chandler hesitates. A half second, barely visible, the instinct of someone who doesn't want their work reviewed mid-process. Then, he reaches into his breast pocket and produces the card. Delaney takes it, holds it under the streetlight. She reads it once. Her expression doesn't change, but something behind it does. A stillness that moves in fast and settles deep. The kind that happens when the mind is processing something it wasn't prepared to receive. She reads it a second time, slower, making sure. Then she hands it to Marsh without a word. Marsh reads it. The color leaves his face in a way the rain can't account for. He looks up, first at O'Connor Med, then at Chandler, then back at the card, and the geometry of the entire scene rearranges itself behind his eyes. Delaney turns to Chandler. Her voice is low, controlled, the voice of someone choosing each word with the care of a person standing near something fragile. Chandler, run a full verification, right now. Chandler frowns. I already ran the full verification. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. The repetition lands with a weight that has nothing to do with volume. It is not a procedural reminder. It is a warning delivered in the only language available on a live body cam. Chandler looks between them, confused, defensive, still not reading the room he is standing in. O'Connor Med says nothing. He has said nothing for several minutes now. He simply watches Chandler, the way you watch something avoidable happening anyway, steady and unsurprised, already aware of exactly where this road ends. Chandler keys the mic, reads the name out slowly, waits, the radio crackles. Dispatch takes a breath, or what sounds like one, and begins. The voice on the other end is professional, careful, the kind of careful that is itself a signal to anyone paying attention. The name returns not as a simple civilian record, but as a department file. Rank first, then division. then a list of commendations long enough that the dispatcher reads them with the measured pace of someone who understands what they're reading. And then, at the end, the designation that reframes every single minute of the last 47. Federal Field Liaison, active status, Captain O'Connor Med. 3 ranks above the officer currently holding his ID in a breast pocket on a rain-soaked Virginia street. The silence that follows is enormous. Even the rain seems to thin, as though the night itself is waiting to see what Chandler does with what he's just been handed. His face moves through 5 stages in approximately 4 seconds. The first is disbelief, a rapid blinking, a slight recoil, the expression of a man who has just heard something his mind is refusing to file. The second is recalculation, eyes moving fast, going back over the stop, the mug, the departmental ID he skimmed and pocketed. The third is horror, arriving fully formed. The fourth is pride, mounting a desperate and doomed counter-offensive. The fifth is horror again, and this time it stays. O'Connor Med turns and looks at him. It is the first time since the stop began that he has looked at Chandler directly. His expression has not changed, still composed, still unhurried, still carrying that deep, weathered calm. There is no triumph in it, no anger, just the look of a man who knew exactly how this night was going to end. It is the most terrifying thing Wex Chandler has ever seen. The fourth vehicle arrives without sirens, dark, unmarked, federal plates. It rolls to a stop at the edge of the scene with the quiet authority of something that doesn't need to announce itself. The door opens and a woman steps out, sharp jacket, no hesitation, the unhurried efficiency of someone who was briefed on the way over and has already decided how this goes. She doesn't look at Chandler, doesn't acknowledge Delaney or Marsh. Her eyes find O'Connor Med immediately, the way eyes find the most important thing in a room, and she crosses the wet pavement toward him with the directness of someone who knows exactly who she came for. She stops in front of him, brings her heels together, and salutes. Crisp, formal, unambiguous. The kind of salute that doesn't leave room for interpretation. "Commander, my apologies for the delay in response." O'Connor Med nods once, returns it. The silence that follows lasts perhaps 3 seconds. It contains everything. Chandler watches it happen. Delaney and Marsh watch Chandler watch it happen. The body cam, still running on his chest, watches all of them, recording the salute, recording his face, recording the exact moment the architecture of the entire night collapses. Every assumption he arrived with reorganizes itself in real time. Who was dangerous? Who had authority? Who needed to be managed? And who was doing the managing? Every certainty he carried from his cruiser to that window, built not on evidence but on something older and uglier, inverts completely and simultaneously. He is not in charge of this scene. He was never in charge of this scene. For 47 minutes, in the rain, on a live body cam, he detained his own commanding officer, 3 ranks his superior, the man whose signature appears on his training reviews, with nothing, with 0 cause, with less than nothing. The rain continues. Nobody speaks. The liaison officer turns to Chandler. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. The body cam is still running, a fact she is clearly, precisely aware of, and when she speaks, it is with the measured delivery of someone constructing a record. "Officer Chandler, walk me through your probable cause for this stop." It isn't a question, it's a prompt, the kind used in depositions and disciplinary hearings, designed not to invite conversation, but to produce a statement that will be reviewed, transcribed, and cited. Chandler opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. The answer he arrived with, the one that felt sufficient when he was the only authority on this street, has no weight left. He hears it the way she will hear it, the way a board will hear it. A B&E call 3 blocks away. A general description. A man sitting in a parked car. No matching vehicle on the call. No witness account. No physical indicator. No prior dispatch linking this plate to any incident. He says it anyway, because there is nothing else to say. And as he speaks, the shape of it becomes undeniable. Not a stop built on evidence, but an assumption that went unchallenged for 47 minutes, because no one with rank was present to challenge it. Until now. Across the street, O'Connor Med collects his ID from Delaney's outstretched hand. A nod passes between him and the liaison. Brief, professional, the acknowledgement of two people who understand the weight of what has just been documented. He walks to his car, opens the door, sits down, pulls the seatbelt across his chest. The window goes up. The sedan pulls away from the curb. Clean and quiet, without hesitation, without a single glance in the mirror. Chandler watches the taillights until they're gone. Behind him, Delaney is already on her radio. He doesn't hear what she's saying. He doesn't need to. The review has already begun. And this time, the body cam belongs to everyone.